Well, here's a box with a whole lot of Marvel in it. Welcome back to Comics Are Dope. I'm BJ Kicks, and this is a really special video for me. So recently, the good folks at Marvel Comics reached out to me and gave me a really cool opportunity to go through their mighty Marvel backlist, take a look at some recently released trade paperbacks, and select a few to review here on the channel. And so I went over the last few months of trade paperback releases, and I picked out quite a few. And today I'm going to show you what those books are, and I'm going to tell you why I selected them. And over the next few weeks, this is going to be the first in a series of videos of mine talking about Marvel Comics and how I felt about the stories. So you'll see these books, you'll see them in community posts, you'll see them on reels or shorts or TikToks or whatever, vertical videos. And, some of these are going to get like straight up full on spotlights. And hopefully, this is the first of many videos that I'll get to do like this, thanks to the good folks at Marvel. So I cannot go any further in this video without thanking the team at Marvel Comics for giving me this small channel such a cool opportunity. So without further ado, I'm going to go ahead and get into this box. As you can see, the box is already open. I know what's in it, but you don't. So let's get into it. Now, I picked out, I think, 10 books. And, like I said, I'm going to tell you why I grabbed them and just how I feel. So let's start with 2. First up, we've got Black Panther by Eve L. Ewing and Matt Allen, Chris Allen, Matt Chater. This is the Rain at Dusk. This is volume 1. This story, I gotta angle this light a little bit better, but this story basically is the direct follow-up to the John Ridley Black Panther run. And I was very excited about this run. I actually read it in single issues, but I was very excited about this run because I felt like Ridley had taken T'Challa to through a pretty heavy deconstruction, and he never really got a chance to do the reconstruction part. And so I felt like this run was going to do a lot to reconstruct the character of T'Challa and put him back into a place of his former glory. Did that happen? Well, you'll have to read it to find out. But this is volume 1 of the Rain at Dusk storyline. This collects Black Panther from 2023 issues 1 through 5. And of course, I had to follow that up with volume 2. Black Panther Rain at Dusk volume 2, also written by Eve Ewing, art by Chris Allen, Matt Chater. This book, basically in this series, T'Challa has been exiled. So that happened before this run started. So to find that out how or why T'Challa is exiled, I'd say go read the John Ridley run. But T'Challa is exiled, and basically he's still operating as Black Panther, but not officially sanctioned by Wakanda. So as threats are rising in Wakanda, he's got to operate on a super covert, like street level. And what we find out is that the new adversary he's fighting against is a lot more supernatural than you might expect, dealing with like street thugs and gangsters and stuff. Really enjoyed this run. I was sad to see that it ended after 10 issues, but I'm excited to see what's coming next for T'Challa in the 616 universe. So I had to grab these trade paperbacks because I wanted to talk about this story, especially as we get further in while Blood Hunt's going on and stuff like that. There's stuff in this that you'll need to know before you go into Blood Hunt and stuff. So anyway, first 2 books out of the way. Black Panther volume 1 and 2 by Dr. Eve L. Ewing. Next up is a book that I had not read and I was really excited to. This is Blade volume 1, written by Brian Edward Hill. The art in this by Elena Casagrande. Now, I picked up issue 1 of this series. For those of you guys who don't know, our late channel moderator, Skipintosh, he was a huge Brian Edward Hill fan. And in fact, what we were hoping for was that John Ridley's run on Black Panther would be followed up by Brian Edward Hill. Instead, Eve Ewing got the job. But then a few months later, they announced that Brian Hill was going to be doing Blade. And that was pretty exciting as well. I don't remember the timeline. I feel like those happened around the same time. But Brian Edward Hill on Blade was a book that I was excited to read just because my friend was such a big fan of Brian Hill. I grabbed issue 1, but I kind of forgot because issue 1, if I remember, came out not too long after Skip passed, and I was just in a funk. So I grabbed issue 1, enjoyed it. I wasn't a huge fan of the coloring in issue 1, and then I forgot to tell my shop to subscribe me for the rest of the series, and so I missed out on issues 2 and 3, and that was all she wrote. So this is volume 1 of Blade by Brian Edward Hill. This series also ran 10 issues. This trade paperback collects the first 5 of those issues. And if I'm not mistaken, volume 2 is just now coming out this coming up week, or maybe it just came out last week. So maybe we'll see it in a future video, but I'm excited to dig into this because I was really hyped for this series and just missed out on it. Next up is Captain America by J. Michael Straczynski. Now, Captain America, there was most recently, I guess the most recent big run, they had the Ta-Nehisi Coates run on Black Panther, which I did grab in hardcovers. And then Colin Kelly, Jackson Lansing, they had a Captain America book. There was a Sam Wilson Captain America book. There was a Falcon, or Sam Wilson is Falcon. There was a Steve Rogers Captain America book, and then they did like a sort of Captain America War. There was a bunch of stuff that happened in the last year and a half with Captain America that I just completely missed out on, or skipped out on, or just didn't participate in. This run follows up all of that, the Captain War and all of that, and it's just sort of a back to basics Captain America series by JMS. This collects Captain America issues 1 through 6, and I believe this run is still ongoing if it hasn't gotten canceled. But really cool artwork in here. Artwork by Jesus Saiz and Lan Medina. So really cool stuff in this book, and I'm excited to get into it. So again, a quick read. You'll see a review on this pretty soon. Next up, from Jim Rugg, is The Hulk Grand Design. Now, Hulk Grand Design, or the Grand Design series of books at Marvel, is a series of one writer, one artist books, like full cartoonist books, and they kind of go through and take the history of a character and condense it down to a short series. So we saw it with Ed Piskor's X-Men Grand Design, which ended up getting like 2 sequels. They did like I don't remember. I have all 3 of the big Treasury editions. So anyway, Hulk Grand Design is by cartoonist kayfabe's Jim Rugg, and it was 2 single issues. They released it in a big gallery edition, or Treasury edition, if you will. And I missed out on that Treasury edition, so I wasn't gonna miss out on this trade paperback. Really cool stuff. It's just what I like about the Grand Design series is that you get to see these like sort of classic superhero characters in an art style that is not always so classic superhero and is more like cartoony. It just looks like nothing else that's on the shelf right now. In this one specifically, Jim Rugg does a lot of like different variations on styles to tap into different eras of comics and the Hulk. And it's just a really cool piece, a really cool project that he did. I mean, they cover the TV show, the cartoons, seminal comic events, and for him to cram all that stuff in just 2 issues, really cool. So glad to have this trade paperback. I'm still looking out for that gallery edition, which is out of print. So if you got a line on one of those, let me know, because I want it. Speaking of Hulk, the Incredible Hulk, that is, this is The Incredible Hulk by Philip Kennedy Johnson. This is volume 2. It's titled War Devils. Now, Hulk by Philip Kennedy Johnson, I read the first 3 or 4 issues, and then I just forgot to pick up the series. I do this stupid thing where like I go to the comic shop, and instead of subscribing, I just grab issues off the shelf, and then I forget the issues. And so that's what happened with Philip Kennedy Johnson's Hulk. This starts off with art by Nick Klein in the first run. And what I really liked about Volume 1, this is very much going back to like the Immortal Hulk roots. So after Immortal Hulk, we had Donny Cates on Hulk and with Ryan Otley, and that was like the Starship Hulk and stuff. And from that, Donny Cates Hulk wasn't for me. I've since went back and read all of Immortal Hulk, and that's why I stopped reading this. I was reading this and I felt like it was spoiling Immortal Hulk for me, or I should have finished Immortal Hulk before I read all this. And so I did finish Immortal Hulk. And by the time I did, this had gotten kind of far into the series. So glad to have Volume 2 in trade paperback. This collects issues 6 through 11. So I'll have to go back and get the first 5 issues in trade as well. Incredible Hulk by Philip Kennedy Johnson. Really love this art. Love the return to the supernatural stuff that we saw in Al Ewing's Immortal Hulk. And I love the sort of sidekick, ride-along character that we get introduced by Philip Kennedy Johnson. As far as I'm concerned, Philip Kennedy Johnson can't write a bad book. I love his Superman War World stuff, and this was really good too. So, next up is The Punisher by David Pepose. This is Volume 1. It's a mini series, so there was only 4 issues. This collects 2023's Punisher series, issue 1 through 4. And this, of course, introduces a new character to be the Punisher. How is he different from Frank Castle? I don't know. I'll let you know when I read it. I was interested in grabbing this because I interviewed David Pepose. We've talked about a little bit. Actually, I don't think we got into Punisher at all. But David Pepose is writing Space Ghost. But David Pepose is actually writing Space Ghost for Dynamite Entertainment right now, and I really, really love it. Between that and his Savage Avengers run that I read, I'm like, David Pepose is a name to look out for. And so I'm excited to see what he brings to Punisher. Art on this is by Dave Wachter. Dave Wachter and Dave Wachter, who did the Planet of the Apes most recently with David F. Walker. He's also on Uncanny Valley right now. Dave Wachter's art style is so versatile. Like, he can do a lot of different things, but it's all good. Anyway, Punisher, The Bullet That Follows. And now, let's get into the second half of this set. So, next most recent book I grabbed is Spiderman Rain. This is an older story that just came back into print recently. It's written by Kari Andrews with art by Kari Andrews. This one is colored by Jose Villarrubia. Or Villarrubia. I don't know how you say it, but this collects Spider-Man Rain, issues 1 through 4. It's a sort of out of continuity Spider-Man story. Something happens. Clearly, Mary Jane dies because he's hugging her grave in the cover. So I guess I wouldn't call that a spoiler. How does she die? I don't know. How does Peter cope with it? I don't know. The reason I grabbed this, besides the fact that I hadn't read it before and it looked interesting, was that Marvel actually has a sequel to this series coming out right now. This is Spider-Man Rain, Volume 2, issue number 1. Also written by Kari Andrews. This time colors are by Brian Reber. And I, was interested in this, but I knew I couldn't read this without reading the Volume 1. So I asked Marvel if I could get that trade paperback since it just came back into print. So now we'll see just how Spider-Man Rain is. I'll probably bump this up to the top of the list so that I can read this sooner. So there's that. Another recent release that I just grabbed from Marvel is the Wolverine. This is actually trade paperback volume 8, but it's part 1 of the Sabretooth War. Wolverine by Benjamin Percy. I read it in single issues. Actually, I read all but this event in single issues. I have it all. But as the Fall of X was going on, I felt like Wolverine didn't really play a big part in it. And I felt like the Sabretooth War was just something you could enjoy as a standalone. So I chose to prioritize other parts of the Fall of X. And I was like, I'll get back to this later. I'll read it all in one sitting. And you know what's easier than grabbing 10 issues of singles to read it all in one sitting? Getting the trade paperback of the first 5 of those 10 issues. So this collects Wolverine issues 41 through 35, part 1 of the Sabretooth War. Part 2 is coming out, I want to say in like a month, maybe 2 months from now. So be on the lookout for that. But my review of the Sabretooth War will be a one big standalone epic review, and I'll let you know my thoughts on it. A great bloody finale, though, from this is Benjamin Percy and Victor Laval, who was writing a lot of Sabretooth during the whole Dawn and Reign of X time period. Art by Jeff Shaw and Corey Smith. Really good art, very bloody. This book, as it was coming out, promised to be the bloodiest Wolverine story ever. And well, let's just say they deliver on that. And so excited to get into the Sabretooth War. Next up, we got a complete collection here. We got a couple of complete collections, actually. So this is Black Widow by Kelly Thompson. Kelly Thompson, who just got nominated for like 5 Eisner Awards. So we'll see how many she walks away with at San Diego Comic-Con next week. But Black Widow by Kelly Thompson. This is the complete collection that collects issues 1 through 15 of the 2020 Black Widow series. I do vaguely remember this coming out. I think I even have issue number 1 of this. But of course, as everything in 2020 kind of got shuffled around, I got into this, got out of it. What I will say, this one also has art by Elena Casagrande, who's on Blade right now too. And this book looks amazing. Like, it's just, epic spy espionage girl. Like, if you like MCU Black Widow, you're gonna like this Black Widow. It's basically that, and just all of the epicness and cool stuff that ensues. We get Hawkeye in there, all the things. I read some of this digitally, but couldn't pass up the opportunity to grab this complete collection. Maybe one day we'll get a Black Widow by Kelly Thompson omnibus. That'd be cool. It'd be short, but it'd be cool. Black Widow. And the last book in this epic Marvel haul is The Sins of Sinister. Sins of Sinister was the event that basically led us to the fall of X. And I gotta say, man, the lead in to this event was really cool. Basically, if you follow this is like 3/4 of the way through the whole Hickman Krakoa era of X-Men. And one of the big compromises that was made was to allow all the mutants to be on Krakoa. And specifically, Sinister plays a role in how mutants are resurrected and stuff like that. And that comes back to bite people. And so now, as Sinister has control over a lot of people, things are going crazy. And in this book, we get to see just how Mr. Sinister is trying to manipulate the timeline, manipulate Moira, manipulate the Quiet Council into getting what he wants, and that is to become Dominion, to ascend. And this basically, you see this go 10 years, 100 years, 1,000 years into the future. And I can't lie, it gets kind of wonky the further you go ahead in the time stream. For me, I didn't feel like it was essential to the fall of X, but the first part and then the very last part were really crucial and really entertaining. I feel like I didn't need the middle, but it really is going to depend on how much you like Sinister. So this collects Sins of Sinister, issue 1. Oh, that's right, and they interrupted all the series. So we got Storm and the Brotherhood of Mutants, which took the place of X-Men Red. We got Immoral X-Men 1 through 3, which took the place of Immortal X-Men. We got Nightcrawlers, which took the place of, I want to say, Excalibur, if Excalibur was even still going at this time. I wasn't reading the magical end of the Krakoa era. And then Sinister Dominion, issue number 1, is what all is included in here. Nice, thick trade paperback, $50 cover price, recently released, and now I have it to share my thoughts with you. So, once again, I have to give a huge thanks to Marvel for sending this box, which I have now emptied. And I'm just really excited to again have this opportunity to review Marvel stories for you guys. I hope it's not the last time, but even if it is, this is a very, very cool opportunity. And I'm excited to get into these books and share my thoughts with you. So do me a favor and hit the like button on this video, but also stay tuned for those reviews and show them love when you see them, whether it's in an email blast, whether it's in Facebook or, reels, shorts, vertical videos, or standalones. Just help me out by checking those out and then checking out some of these stories. You can grab them all at organicpricebooks.com. These are all already released. These are not advanced copies. So you can grab all these stories right now at your local comic shop or wherever you shop for comics. That's going to do it for me. I'll see you in another video real soon. Till then, stay safe, stay awesome, and read something dope today. Peace.